What's up, guys? Welcome back to another podcast with the THPStrength family. Today, we have Isaiah Edwards, also known as Zeus, on the podcast. We're going to be talking about his progression, how he ended up with us, and just diving into some of the details of how he got from where he was when we started working together to where he is now. But before we do that, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is John. I am responsible for coaching the highest jumpers in the world, and I honestly believe that head to toe, every bone in my body believes that. We have the best training on the planet, and Zeus is going to verify that here in the podcast unbiasedly, just his experience. Isaiah Rivera, go ahead, you can introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Pro dunker, tested 48 inches on a Vertec. I am John's Padawan, as I keep saying, and I've been training athletes for about 2 years now. Been obsessively studying jump training since I was 14, 15. Got a bachelor's degree in exercise science, and yeah.
And Zeus,
So,
would you like to be called Zeus or Isaiah Edwards?
I'm Isaiah Edwards, but I go by Zeus. But I've been training with John Evans for about a year and a few months now. I've been dunking since I was like 14. Been obsessed with it, and yeah, that's pretty much who I am.
Sweet. Perfect. So if you guys saw my story on Instagram the other day, I posted what I would say is probably Isaiah's, I'm just going to say Zeus because he's going to make this way easier. Zeus's best session to date. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Would you agree that was probably your best session to date? What did you hit in that session?
I hit the behind the back pass to J Rich, or game over to J Rich, game over to between the legs, under both. And just my regular dunks look way better than they used to.
Yeah. So Isaiah, I guess from Rivera, from your perspective, the Puerto Rican airbender, maybe that's what I'll call you.
No.
in this podcast.
Call
it's
me
so
Zay.
confusing
Call
because
me
there's
Zay.
like Louis. There's like
You can call him Isaiah.
So there's
You can
Louis
use.
Rivera. Real quick, I just have to say this. There's Louis Rivera, and everyone's like, oh, it's Isaiah's brother. No relationship whatsoever. And then there's Isaiah Edwards, who is known as Zeus. Isaiah Edwards, Isaiah Rivera. You get confused when you say Isaiah because they're both pro dunkers and they're both ridiculous, and it's just like I just get confused all the time. Anyways, so Zay, what from your perspective, watching this now and for the last, I guess, year, what is kind of your lens having watched Zeus's progression from start to finish, and then obviously watching that session yesterday?
I mean, I've known Zeus for a pretty long time now. And I remember like when we used to have all the Florida sessions and stuff like that. It was really freaky. Then I remember specifically the day like you started coaching Zeus again, and he was like pretty out of shape. I remember, because like Zeus, I don't think I was supposed to watch these. I think it was only meant for John, but John sent me the videos of you, and he was like, "Yo, look, like training Zeus now." And yeah, he just looked out of shape. Like the bounce had decreased a lot, and I was like, "Damn, like he's looking a lot different than he used to." And then from there, John just kind of kept me updated on your training every time. Again, you probably don't know this, but every time you would make like little progress and stuff, he would send it to me. And it was really dope seeing how bought in Zeus was to the training. He's very consistent, and you don't see that a lot with the more elite guys. We've tried coaching other elite guys before, and like you might get like 2 weeks of consistency from them, and then
Tops.
it's like I think it's very like people don't realize kind of how lazy a lot of like elite dunkers are in terms of
I think elite athletes in general. I reached out to Terrell Pryor and I was like, hey, you want to like get a session in? I'll coach you through speed work. He's like, yeah, hit me up whenever. Like I'm good for it. Texted him, no response. I was like, no surprise.
So, but it was dope just seeing that like Zeus was being very consistent with the training, and then recently, like the past few months, like I saw he was actually like at the level he used to be or better. And just consistently getting better, like constantly like posting his training up and stuff like that. And then the session, I think when I was like, whoa, what the fuck, was when you posted the height check over at the outdoor 10-foot rim, and like your head was over it and stuff. That was really freaky. And then the last session you just posted, John sent it to me at like midnight. I was like literally like half asleep, and I looked at it. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" So it's been really, really dope seeing that, and yeah, you can tell you're just really bought in that you're gonna continue making crazy progress. So it's really excited to see you where it's gonna lead to.
So Zeus, I guess kind of explain, like, just for the people listening, Zeus was mega elite and then disappeared for like a year and then reached out to me and was like, I don't know if I reached out to you or you reached out to me. And I was like,
yeah,
do you
I think I reached out to you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then I was basically like, yeah, gladly, like, I'll gladly help you out. Just understanding, like, I mean, this super elite dunker. I don't know what's happening right now. Like, and it was kind of like, hey, you know, I need help with my training right now, whatever else. Like, I'm going to get back into it. Basically, I haven't really been doing too much or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, like whatever. I didn't really care. Like, I've seen, you know, athletes reach out and I, again, assume that they're probably not going to stick with it. And then 1 month in, 2 months in, I'm like, okay, like we're building some momentum here. 3 months in, like still with it. By month 4, I would say he was basically back to where he was like before. Like there was a dunk I remember specifically where you were in a gym and it was a one-hander and like your head was at or above the rim. And I was like, oh my God, like he's back now to where he was. And then COVID hit and then it was like body weight training for months of that time. And then,
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have a weight room for a while.
Like, I got better. I feel like you
made
me so much better during that time period too. Just doing the bodyweight workouts.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and that's like a weird thing. I guess I forget about that. Like so many good athletes like that did the bodyweight training and actually did it, made so much progress, but it's just hard. Like the bodyweight training's hard. It's not fun. It's not sexy. There's no, like, it's hard. And Zeus just stuck with it. And then like, you know, I think there might've been a hamstring injury there at some point and then came back and yeah, now like in a gym, no more outdoor courts, starting to lift again, making sure he's getting the sprint work in and things like that. I'm assuming the lifts are going well. I haven't really seen too many lifting videos.
I gotta start posting more of those, but yeah, they're going well.
Yeah. Good. And then now, yeah, he sends me this session and I was just like, holy shit, like you're back, like you're competitive in terms of where your head is relative to the rim with Isaiah right now, like Rivera. And I'm like, shit, like we now have, like at the moment we have 3 guys where I could consistently say they could win, they could beat any dunker in the entire world right now. Like at any given moment, you have Zeus, Zay, and Dan Gross right now. Like Dan recently reached out and was like, I'm ready to, like all in, I'm ready to go. And I was like, yeah, well then like I got super excited. So yeah, I think, you know, CJ's finally back dunking regularly and attempting East Bays and stuff. Like everyone is climbing up in that elite cohort. Ilya Kroshka. He's finally back, you know, focused up and, you know, dealt with his personal issues and stuff. Like COVID really, for lack of a better word, fucked everyone. And now that it's finally ending, you know, we're able to really get back into things and everyone's making a lot of progress. So it's exciting for me. And then obviously like seeing your progress, I'm like, holy shit, like this probably the biggest transformation I've ever seen out of an athlete who was very elite, and then got out of it, and then now back. Like I'm like, that transformation is, I mean, it's staggering. It's like some Bo Jackson shit, except Bo Jackson came back better than ever. It's not just glimpses. It's like consistently better than ever. So I guess now we'll turn it over to you, kind of giving that background. What happened in that year that you disappeared, and now like, how much better are you relative to where you started? When did you feel like you got back? I guess we'll start with the first question. Where'd you go? What happened?
Well, in like the beginning of January of 2019, I kind of had like a small injury, just like with my ankle. And then after that, like 2 weeks after that, I sprained my knee. And I kind of was just getting pretty depressed with myself. And I was just playing pickup basketball doing that. And
so wait, weren't you on a squad? Weren't you playing college basketball?
The season before. So like the season right before that. And I was just like trying to dunk.
Okay.
And yeah, so I just kind of got depressed with myself from getting hurt, and it just kind of didn't feel right to jump at all. And then I kind of just lost my passion a little bit for it. And then I was like, I gotta change something here. And
so you were playing basketball, quit basketball for a year, didn't play basketball, didn't train, dunked sometimes, played pickup sometimes, got hurt. And then talk about like, and this is like somewhat personal, but I don't think you'll care. Like, what was your body composition like right after you got, was your body composition not improving for that whole year? You weren't playing basketball, and then you got to a point where you're like, oh, I'm not where I want to be right now, and then you just changed your whole diet? Because I will honestly say it, you probably lost, how much weight did you lose from the start of training to now?
Honestly, probably like 30, 40 pounds, probably, like at least.
Yeah. And that was probably in the first like 4 months. Like you probably lost like a lot of weight in the first 4 months. Like
no, it was crazy.
So what? So you got to a point where you were considerably heavier, and then you reached out and you're like, okay, I'm ready to get back to dunking. Like my injuries are mostly better. Did you gain that weight in that year, or was it like that couple months that spiraled when you were hurt?
It was those couple months when I was hurt and depressed. But but yeah, no, like.
Hey, dude, I've been there.
And so like,
I think there was a time when I tore my labrum in my hip, the same shit happened. There's a video, and I tell people, I'm like, I look like Marky Mark on the beach, like when he just like spiraled. Yeah, you spiral, and you have to like pull yourself out of it. You know what I mean? But yeah,
and at this time I was seeing like Isaiah and him getting better, and you training him. I was like, wow, like it's probably like working really well. Isaiah's doing, like, I've known Isaiah for a long time. Like I've seen his videos and stuff like all the time, and just seeing him getting improving. I was like, wow, like it must be working. Like it has to be. So I was like, I'm gonna reach out to John, see what can happen here. I want to change what's going on right now.
I was like, gladly. I was like, I have no problem helping you be elite. Like I know you have it in you. So I think it was for me, like during that time. Can you hear me? You there, Zeus?
I just lost.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, John.
Okay, I can.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but hopefully Zeus is there. But okay, so then I like during that time, I'm like, yeah, like gladly. I know, like one thing you have to understand as a coach is talent is talent. If someone has been somewhere before, I can get them back to that. If they are willing to put in the work, I 100%, not only can I get them back to that, but I can get them better than they ever were. And I think that's why I like taking on a lot of these projects of guys that, like Isaiah, like have knee pain, like the hopeless, depressed guys that are like, I'm done, I'm going to quit. Like, but there's a glimmer of hope.
Because it can always seem like
shining star in the night.
When you're in the middle of an injury, like it can really seem like the end of the world. Like, even take me, for example, 3 weeks ago, like I think, or maybe a month ago, 3 to 4 weeks ago, I was like depressed as fuck. Because I was like, when am I going to be back jumping? But like things can change very, very fast. Like if you can like take yourself out of it and just be like, look, this is temporary. Pain is just my body's telling me something. I got to change something up. You can take yourself out of it. But like you can't underestimate that darkness that happens when you get hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Yeah. But you also like, I mean, talent is talent, and I think with you guys, I've realized like, I think as a coach, it's intimidating, right? Like how am I supposed to coach Isaiah and take him somewhere he's never been before, Rivera or Edwards, whenever I've never been there myself? I'm not a pro dunker. That's reality. I've never done it between the legs. Yet. I will soon. Like I've windmilled and I've done a two-hander, I've done a one-hander, and I've gotten way better. Don't get me wrong, my vertical's really high. I jump high. I jump as high as Isaiah does, Rivera does off one, and now, Zeus jumps obviously way higher than me now off one, but like I jump high off one. I like it's intimidating as someone like myself. Like I've never been in the NFL. I've never been in the NBA. And I think as a coach, even though you know exactly what that athlete needs to do to get to that point, you know exactly what steps they have to take, it can be very intimidating. Like, me even coaching you, Isaiah Rivera, the early stages, like I basically said, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to educate this kid. Like, I'm just going to tell him the truth. I'm going to tell him the truth. I'm going to tell him what he needs to do to get better. And I'm going to tell him what I think he needs to do to get better. And like Isaiah Rivera gave me a bunch of feedback and was like, Zay gave me a bunch of feedback and was like, this is what you have, like with dunking, these are some things you need to understand. This is what you need to know about the technique. This is what you need to know about sessions. This is how it impacts my knee. And then that equipped me. And then obviously like over time, I got more and more confident with it. But just in general, like when I see these mega elite athletes, it used to be very daunting to be like, oh God, I have to have everything perfect and whatever else. And then I basically assumed like, you know what? Fuck it. These elite guys, like if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. it's not my responsibility to motivate them. You know what I mean? They should be highly motivated people. And I've seen this happen before. Like, there was an athlete previously that should have been highly motivated. Isaiah, I think you know who I'm talking about. And wasn't training. And I was like, it's not my responsibility to tell you to train. It's not my responsibility to do that. You should be motivated yourself, and you should see the value that I will bring to you if you're willing to work with me. And I think that is like a big shift in my mental paradigm as a coach that has helped me feel comfortable reaching out to guys like Terrell Pryor, Chase Claypool. I know more than you about running fast. I know more than you about jumping high. I know more about your body than you know about your body, actually. Like, I understand more about how your body's going to respond after a game than you probably know about how your body is going to respond.
And with dunking, too, like, what's going to push dunking farther as a sport and turning it actually competitive is getting guys like Zeus, getting guys like me, where there's a level of natural talent that we have, but there's also that drive to get better and that drive to put in work consistently, to do the weight room sessions, to do the sprinting, and to string together months and years of good training together. Like, anybody can get motivated for a month and work out for a month straight and not miss a workout. But something like what Zeus did, where it's been a year and a few months of consistent training.
Is it coming up on a year now?
I think it's been over a year, yeah.
Is it coming up on a year?
Started back in December.
Has it been over a year? Or, we're either coming up. Oh, wait, yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, it was December. That's right. So now we're over
but being able to string that amount of time, it takes something has to click in your brain, and there has to be very deep level of motivation, and that's what's going to push dunking as a sport, is getting talented guys to be that committed to dunking and improving long term. Like, think about the NBA. It's a combination of talent plus guys that are willing to practice a shit ton and practice consistently. Like with the exception of a very few athletes, nobody's going to get by on talent alone, no matter what you do. And dunking is such a young sport, and it's such a niche that, like, the only way to push it farther is getting freaky guys to train and then start doing freaky dunks, like, in contests and stuff like that. Like, I don't think it's something you can just get by off talent alone. Maybe back in the days of, like, TFB and stuff like that, where, you know, guys were just doing like 360 East Bays, and like those guys could jump high and freaky. But like, imagine if those guys would have had years of training consistent. Imagine how much farther along dunking would be right now as a sport if all the guys in TFB were training consistently. First of all, they would still be dunking because they wouldn't have fallen off. They would still be in shape. And second, the level of dunks and the level of competition would have been way higher by now. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And I think it's like, so many people are like, oh, well, look how good they are. Like, they didn't lift the weight their entire life. They didn't do anything their entire life. And like, honestly, THP has single-handedly proved, like, hey, guess what? You're really good. But
look at Area 51.
Like, Area 51, perfect example. Dude is like 38 or 40 years old or something like that. Like, he went from not jumping, really maybe jumping like some on a torn Achilles in a lot of pain, to like no pain now. And I think he sprained his ankle or did something dumb, and I was like, you committed the Cardinals. Like, you idiot. Actually, I have to adjust his training. I just remember that. But I was like, dude, you idiot. And he went from that, like, not like pain, can't jump at all, to now like he's like windmilling and like doing reverse windmills, and like
he's 5'7" with a short reach. Imagine a guy that's like take for example like Guy Dupuis. Imagine a guy like him training properly. He would, at the age of 40, he would probably still be at a very competitive level, like an extremely competitive level.
Yeah. It's like, personally as a coach, I recognize talent, and people use the age thing all the time, and I'm like, age, like, it's just a number. It really is. Like, at the end of the day, if you're willing to stay committed and patient, you can get back to where you were in your absolute prime. And I don't know why people don't believe that. I think it's just that your training has to be so robust to do it. You have to have a perfect plan in place to do it. You can do it, but it might take you 4 more years to get back to where you were. You're basically starting from zero, but guess what? The underlying framework of what you need to get there is still there. You know, your tendons are still stiff. Your muscles are still explosive. You still have the same amount of type 2 fibers. Your body is bioplastic until you die. You can adapt until you die. It's just not at the rate it once was. You're not going to recover as fast. You're not going to be able to get as many high-quality sessions in as you used to. And, like, same thing with you, Zeus. Like, talking about those 3 stages, you know, you came in and like you're looking at yourself, you're like, I'm nowhere where I used to be. You know, I'm not even close to where I used to be. I can windmill off 2. My 1 foot, I don't even know if you could windmill off 1 when we first started. Could you windmill off 1 when we first started?
It just didn't look good. Like it just, yeah.
Yeah, I think it could have, but it wouldn't have been like a great, like maybe you would have squeezed it in. And then I think like, you know, you get to where you're at now, and it's like, holy shit, I'm better than I have ever been in my entire
I will say this
life.
though, like when I was doing your training specifically, compared to like when I was like playing at Western, all the training that I did there, it was like muscle endurance training. So I didn't feel like I was improving my vertical. I was improving my vertical just by jumping a lot. I didn't really do like specific basketball, like, you know, like vertical training. I never did that. But when I was doing yours,
I actually want you to, I want you to elaborate on this. Like, talk about what your mindset was like, because we haven't even really interviewed. We've been like, this is our experience, this is fucking crazy. But like, tell us, like, what was your experience? Like, what was that like? What was your mindset at? How was the training to you? Like, how did your
I just feel like your training, whenever I would do one workout, I literally could feel like this is helping me. I felt it working. Like I felt it working my legs properly. Like I felt like it was preparing myself to like jump and run, and just everything about like my jump was improving. I felt like whenever I did any of your lifts, especially the sprinting, I feel like whenever I do the sprinting, that's like that just took it off. Like that made me faster. I was slower when I used to run, I felt like, for my approach. And pretty much everything, like all the plyos, everything that you were doing there, like I feel like that was building my like stability and strength in my knees and making it so like I didn't really ever feel pain, but like because I started lifting so more and so much more specifically for your workouts, you know, I feel like that was helping the most too. Like it just made it so like I'm always gonna be like jumping higher like all the time, and it was gonna be more consistent, you know. So like before, when I was good, I feel like I would have a few jumps that were like really good, but then most of my jumps would be regular jumps. But now I feel like if I want to, I could have really high like jumps for the most part because of all the training.
Yeah, like you can tap in. You can tap into that new output that you've acquired this new output. It's like, well, if I dial this to 11, I might get hurt because it's that. I'm not going to choose to quite go there right now because I don't need to go there. And if I go there, well, things get a little scary there. And like Isaiah can attest to that. If I was like, hey, Isaiah, can you go out and like touch 50 inches? Like Zay would be like, no, I don't want to do that. Because if I go try to touch 50 inches, or if I try to touch 12.4, my ankle's going to explode and my hip's going to explode.
It's like redlining a car. It's like before we had like Mustangs, like our bodies were Mustangs and stuff. And like now we're like Ferraris or like Bugattis and stuff. And like, yeah, you can go push it. We can go push to the freaking limit and go redline it, but like it's very scary.
I don't need to do that. It's very scary. If I slip going this fast, I am fucked. I'm gonna spiral and land in the wall and I'm gonna die. So yeah, I mean it's kind of fun to hear you talk about that. I guess like What was the tempo work? Because like I gave you a lot of running.
Yeah, you did. Like
because I was like, all right,
sprints like 3 or 4 times. I don't know.
It was like Tuesday, I think Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You were doing like extensive tempo and intensive tempo. So you were running a lot. I mean, you had probably 5 days of running in your programming, of which 2 or 3 of them were like hard as hell. What was that like early on? Was that frustrating for you, or you just like
I needed it? I knew I needed it too. Like I just looked at the workouts. Like I didn't even really think about it too. Like sometimes I would just look at it and just I'm just gonna do it. Okay, just do it. Like I didn't just like, oh, that's a lot, or like that doesn't look like. I just looked at it like I was excited too because it was like I just knew it was making me better. Like I was kind of looking forward to each workout because I just knew it was helping so much. So I kind of didn't really like. That's kind of why I stuck with it too. Like I just knew it was like helping me so much. So I was like I wasn't really like upset or like frustrated to like just do it.
I'm curious about this because you used to play college basketball, and obviously with college basketball there's a lot of like conditioning that goes into it. Practices are intense. There's a lot of individual work that's expected from you. How much of that helped as far as the mental aspect of getting through the workouts? Because a big problem that people have when they do THP is like they're pretty mentally weak. They ask, oh, like, can I skip this day? Or like they feel like the days are pretty difficult sometimes. Like, was there a transfer of that over while you were doing the workouts?
Yeah, a little bit. Mostly because I was familiar with quite a few of the lifts, like the Olympic lifts. I feel like that's why people didn't really like them. Like I did a lot of those at Western, like when I was playing basketball. But I think that's what helped the most. Just like I kind of knew like like all about most of the lifts, but I mean there were some that were like completely new to me. But I think that's what transferred over the best. Just like, okay, knowing how to do some of these lifts already, and not like not wanting to do these lifts, because I feel like that's the hard part is probably like the lifting. Like if because I feel like most dunkers in general don't like do those lifts like a lot, or even,
Yeah.
like I never did those like before, like besides playing at Western, like that's the only time I would do those kind of lifts. So kind of knowing how to do some of those helped a little bit for sure.
Gotcha. And then
Yeah, was it?
and then
Yeah, go ahead, say. I want to know. I know what you're gonna ask.
I don't think if you know what I'm gonna ask, but
Well, actually, yeah, I think I do. But go ahead. See
and
if it-
also just curious about this. What are your goals now?
no, I was
As
wrong.
far as
no.
like dunking and vertical, and then also like specific, like if there's dunks you're trying to hit or like a certain vertical you're trying to hit, and also what are you trying to do with dunking itself? Are you trying to like compete with it, like when contests start back up? Are you trying to make an impact there? Like what are your goals right now?
Currently what I've been thinking about in like just the last year of training with John is just like improving and getting better. I definitely do want to do contests eventually. I still feel like I have a lot of room to improve though right now. And I feel like I need to keep training for like a good 6 months before I'm ready to compete with like you or anybody like that right now. But I definitely want to keep training for sure for like this time. And like there are a lot of dunks I want to hit. Like
Yeah,
I mean, do you want to know some? Or...
yeah.
Well, actually, maybe keep them
Yeah.
secret. You don't want to. You don't want Sutherland.
But
listening to
there's a
this.
lot of dunks I want to make still. But
I'll
yeah, just keep training. Just keep training until contests come. Like that's what I'm thinking about right now.
I think right now that you're already contest ready if your consistency's good. I don't know what your consistency's like, but you're already.
I made
ahead.
so
What were you gonna say?
I did that behind the back pass to Jay Rich, but before that I did a behind the back just the one I posted on my story just to reverse, and then the next one I tried was the Jay Rich run, and and that's why I was
hit it really well?
surprised. So I was like, wait, I didn't really jump there because my first jump when I try like as you probably do this too, like my first jump when I try and do like just a motion and like in the air, like I don't really jump like really hard. And so I just jumped and I just did the motion regularly and I just made it. I was like, oh, okay. That's not how I have it. And so that's like I'm saying, like my normal jumps now like feel different because of your training. Like that's why it's kind of easier to make dunks right now too. So
Yeah, that's something I know before. Like when you used to dunk, I remember you were like really consistent. Like I think you've always been pretty consistent with your dunks.
I remember that at dunk camp. The first time I ever met you, Zeus, was
Oh,
at
yeah.
dunk camp 1.0.
first one.
And I remember just thinking like, you just showed up and you're like, didn't really say anything, and then it was like double elbow between the legs, like first try, and I'm like, oh my god, like this guy's
Yeah,
absurd.
yeah. So he's always been like, I mean, pretty consistent, and like you've all in contests too. Like I know you've done contests against like Staples and Golden Child and stuff like that, and like
Yeah.
you always show
nice.
up.
Yeah,
So
it's fun.
I think it'd be pretty dope to see you now with like now that you have more bounce, like how you would do, and like in that scenario with adrenaline and that.
I'm
that type
really
of
excited
thing.
for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
I think I'm honestly, the only thing I'm scared about is that, like, again, the Ferrari analogy, like don't go too fast or
Yo, something that needs to happen.
My-
We need to have a session ASAP. We need to have a Florida session again. Just
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I am trying to. I said this on my story, but I think it would be hilarious to get like Isaiah Rivera, Isaiah Edwards, Dan Gross. Like, just get you three right now because you guys are the healthiest right now and you're the most game ready, what I would call, right? And maybe Ron Owens because he could too. He's like game ready. And then CJ's probably a couple months away from this, but get you guys together and just go to a court. You know, just go to a court and like. Do you ever see like games of pool where people just suck the first game? Just have you guys suck. Just have you guys suck balls, and then like all of a sudden be like, "All right, guys, let's."
that's the other thing
let's
is
go ahead. Let's go ahead.
the three of us have also like we're pretty good at basketball as well. So like
Yeah. No,
that might be pretty fun.
And it would just be Lob City. It would be like hilarious. Like, can you imagine like the content you would get? Like, one video of Briz goes crazy, and like, you know, sometimes Briz doesn't like dunking on 10 feet. You guys are like 10 feet. Like 10
Yeah.
feet's a joke.
Yeah, move the rim up.
Like if you guys went to a court and then you guys can play basketball too. Like CJ, a couple people are like, you guys need a point guard. I don't know, throw LA on the
Yeah.
team.
You know what's really interesting too is the three of us all have the same reach as well. Yeah, and then
Really?
we're all at 8'1".
Wait, what? Wait, Zeus, your reach is
Yeah,
only 8'1".
I know.
Aren't you like
Yeah, it should be
6'4"?
higher.
Aren't you like? What the hell? Wow, that's crazy. That actually puts things in
Yeah.
perspective. That's actually insane. Wow. Yeah, this definitely needs to happen ASAP. And I would love to just come and watch and just stand there with my arms crossed like the wise shaman that I've always wanted to be
I said all this stuff.
with a clipboard.
You would
Like
be
when
there to make
Isaiah-
sure we warm up.
Yeah, that would be it. Like at dunk camp, I did that, and then like at the one session, that's like a track coach thing. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, I get so excited internally. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm so excited. You have no clue. I go to track meets and I see my high jumpers warm up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and like it happened at dunk camp, and it happened when Isaiah was at this like court in Florida when he tested his 48. I was just like sitting there with my arms crossed, like,
Yeah.
like on the inside, laughing because I knew like no one had any clue. And then Isaiah's just getting warmed up, and I'm like, yeah, what they're about to witness is going to maybe happen never in the history of
Wait,
their
that was
life.
that blue gym?
Yeah.
The blue gym.
That was
Okay,
at the yeah. So I think like, you know, doing that, like going to a court or whatever, I just get excited because I'm like, man, I've literally been training these guys for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Like, all I want to see is just them do some crazy shit right now and be highly entertaining for me to sit back as a proud coach
Yeah.
and like watch. I've never had the privilege of doing that other than maybe once with Isaiah, like, you know, publicly. So I think it would be fun to just, especially here, like, dude, my hometown, like, people think I'm just, literally, they think I'm just weird as hell. Like, if you're on THP, you know, people just stare at you. They're like, what the fuck are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, there's yeah.
And but then it's like you just don't understand. Like,
They
you just
don't
don't
get
get it. You don't know what you don't know. Like, and then like if I were to take you guys to the local 424 athlete factory they go to, and then be like, all right guys, go ahead, let's go ahead, let's warm up here. Let's start the show. like that would be mind blowing, you know? So I don't know. I would just love to see it happen. I would pay money. A lot of people would pay money to watch that happen.
Yeah. No, we definitely have to set something up as soon as possible.
Yeah, oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, and then I think maybe we'll end this podcast because Zay's got to go do a session. Zeus, tell us where you were when we first started training you, like what dunks you could do, what you think your vertical was, what your lifts were like, and then like tell us the transformation before and
Okay,
after.
so yeah, my vertical was probably like, I'm gonna be honest, it was probably like 30 inches max, or something like, I don't know. It was really low. I could just barely get my head to like the bottom of the net, I think, like in some of those videos that I sent you in the beginning. And like, yeah, I could only do like windmills, like barely, and just normal dunks were tough. It felt like it just, and they didn't look that great. But I mean, yeah, now it's, I mean, probably I want to say it's like 44 to 45 inches. I mean, my head gets a little bit over the rim now, like consistently, so I think it's around there. I haven't tested it though. Like, I don't have like a Vertec around here, but
On a Vertec, yeah.
I would,
Well, yeah, height checks are
Yeah.
a little weird. There's like some
It-
weird
it's
math.
hard,
that goes
yeah.
on. I'd say
I
you're
don't know.
probably
43?
43. I think 42,
Okay, yeah.
43. You could hit right
So,
now
yeah, that's-
off one.
that-
You think, Zay? You
that's
think 42,
acceptable
43?
for me.
I'd say 44. I'd say 44. Yeah.
You think 44?
How tall? Zeus, you're 6'4"?
boy.
I'll go in the middle. I'll go for what's up?
You're 6'4"?
Yeah.
6'4". So 44 would be to the rim.
My head's
Right, on a
after-
height
after.
check.
That's what I thought.
And I think you could get a couple inches above, which would put you at 46, and then to a Vertec, that would probably translate.
So, like,
I'd say 43 to 44,
44.
around there.
That's it, yeah, 43.
I'll take
44.
it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
So your vertical went up. Your vertical went up
yeah,
over.
definitely. A lot.
All right. In terms of all time, how much do you think your vertical went up? Like all time, relative to your best, what your best was ever before you quit basketball and all that stuff happened. Like, where do you think your best was then? Like relative to that, where you at now?
I want to say it's like at least like a 2-inch gain on my best ever.
Like best, you'd say like best day
Yeah.
ever. I want you to think about if you had the best day now, best day of your life then, and the best day of your life now. Let's say like you had the best day of your life. What do you think the difference would be in inches?
Yeah, I want to say at least 2 because I feel like I could maybe get my head to the rim like barely on my best jump ever before, or maybe I think honestly maybe a little bit below the rim. It might have just been angles. But I think it's at least 2-3 inches right now.
Wow. Yeah. So this is something I always like to point out too, because so many people are like, "Oh, he's already good," and I'm like, you don't understand. Like, when you're already mega elite, getting any better is
Yeah.
very hard. That's why I highlighted Marcus Miller. This dude is an elite high jumper for 4 years. Not elite, but a sub-elite, 7-foot high jumper-ish at the University of New Mexico with Django Levitt, who's one of the best Canadian high jumpers right now and one of the best high jumpers in the world, jumps like 231, trains with him for 4 years, has 4 years in high school, whatever else, comes out, and he's like, yeah, my Achilles hurts, like whatever else. And then he PRs his standing vertical by like 2 inches or 3 inches, and then PRs his running vertical by 4 inches, like both all tested on a jump mat. So like seeing that change, you know, and then that's crazy. This dude's highly, highly trained. You're taking a guy like you, Zeus. You're taking a guy who maybe has never done vertical jump training or whatever else, but you've jumped a lot, a shit ton, and you've played college basketball. You are a highly trained athlete, like very highly trained athlete. It's not like you can attribute this to development or you can attribute this to the novelty of a training stimulus. Like you've done those lifts, you've done sprints, you've done jumping, like you've done the most elastic activity on earth that you could, not on earth, but like basically do, which is playing basketball at a pretty high level. So like you take that and then you're like, okay, not only am I going to get you back to where you were, but I'm going to also make you better. Like that is my bread and butter, pride and joy, what I love to do. It's just, it's you have to be so patient to get there. It's just like, I have the plan, just do the plan and you'll get there. Like that for me was super exciting. So yeah, I think seeing that whole progression, seeing you lose 30 pounds, seeing you jump 2 or 3 inches higher than you ever have, and like obviously getting back and hitting new dunks, like I love that shit. So we love the buy-in. I think we're probably, Zay's got to go do this
my adrenaline's
right now. He's like, his hands are sweating. His hands are
Literally.
sweating. His palms are sweaty.
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
Hey, the knees aren't weak though.
Ooh. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate it. If you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe to the podcast. If you are listening on YouTube, leave a comment. I usually get back to the comments in the first 24 to 48 hours, and I try to answer all of them. I definitely see them all for sure. So make sure you leave a comment. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Follow Zeus. I think is it Zeus? Is it at Zeus?
Yeah,
What's
at
your
Zeus
Instagram?
Too Nice.
At Zeus Too Nice. You heard it here first. Anyways, guys, we appreciate it, and we will catch you on tomorrow's episode. Peace out.